Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. I am Kendi Bodun.
And I am Henry Ikwebiki.
It's the start of a new day, and we are glad to have you on the show. We will kick off with today's newspaper review before diving into the main conversation of the day. Trust me, you don't want to miss a moment with us. You can join the conversation by dropping your comments, liking, and following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. Now, joining us to share the matters at hand is Barrister Evans Feli. He is a barrister and a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning,
thank you
Barrister.
very much. Yeah. Good morning, thank you.
So let's start with the first daily. What do we have?
Okay, we have the Punch newspaper, and on the Punch Blame Depot has petrol nears 1,000 naira per litre.
And also on the top strip, we have a strike. A National Assembly wades into ASU federal government dispute.
Okay, still on the top strip of Punch newspaper, we have Edwin, Align and Finance Minister flown abroad for treatment. And
also acting INEC chair outlines plans for Anambra poll.
Still on the top strip, we have court adjourns suit seeking to stop PDP convention.
And also court equally orders exhumation autopsy of Afriland TARS fire victims.
Still below that, we have Tinubu hails Eagles as Osime fires Nigeria to World Cup playoffs.
All right, so let's just start with the sad story. Of course, it's a week plus now, Barrister.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it. Why do you think the court would order for the people who have died as a result of a mishap in the Afriland building, they've been buried? Why would the court order for them to be exhumed?
Well, I don't know the detail of the case, but the court will make such order if there's an application before the court that possibly is to, if evidence have been concealed as a result of that, or if there's a coroner inquest for which there are certain examination of bodies and the situation. I mean, the peculiarity of the case, the court will not make such an order if it were not necessary, if it were not to get to justice, if it were not targeted at having the court to properly examine the case. The court will not make such order. But for the court to make such orders, I know that it is for the purposes of ascertaining perhaps the veracity of the information before the court. I mean, information people have brought before the court. So something must have triggered that order.
So does it mean that possibly the families of the deceased would have gone to the court to seek for this?
That's what I'm saying. You know, we don't have the details of what is in court, what was filed, applications and the rest of that. So we don't know. I mean, there may be certain demands that have been made, or there may be some things that, just like the case of Mohbad, it was buried and exhumed, okay, because of the controversy surrounding his demise. So this may not be unconnected to some issues, whether they are directly or indirectly, or something must have triggered the court to make such orders. It is not a regular thing that people come out and say, you know what, go and exhume the dead just for the fun of it. Nobody does that. It must something very expedient must have necessitated this action. So I think that is what it is.
And also, I learned that in Lagos State, there's a policy that if a house, crumbles, the government takes over that particular piece of property. Of course, that could be natural cause. I do not know if this is another natural cause because it is very avoidable. Do you think in the case that led to the death of 10 persons, that the government could equally apply the same policy for the Afriland property itself?
Yeah, well, it depends. It all depends on the circumstances surrounding the entire issue. Government taking over properties where buildings have collapsed couldn't have necessitated exhuming corpse. I mean, alone. Okay, yeah, because The reason government take over such properties because there is a penalty level against people building structures that are not durable, using quacks to construct buildings, sometimes 8, 6, 10-story buildings. And you don't have the right kind of engineers, or you have the right kind of engineers, you don't have the right kind of materials. You don't have the right quality control. You award a contract, you give it to an engineer, he's buying substandard materials, nobody is on site, okay, to check and under-check what, no quality control engineer on site to manage the quality of materials brought to site and the rest of that. So when you have such kind of situation, Lagos State government use that to get back at people who do that.
Okay.
You understand? To take over the property and the rest of that. But that in itself couldn't have been why people have been exhumed in the case under reference. Yes, it could have been other extraneous issues, but not really, because part of the law and the policy of taking over does not say that when people die in the course of that collapse and they are buried, they must be exhumed. Okay. For what cause exactly? It's not for anything very significant.
Yes.
Okay, so how prepared are Nigerian cities for emergency response?
I don't think we are prepared for emergency.
Okay.
Maybe because we are not in countries, we are not a country that is prone to natural disaster. Our own disaster is poverty and government mismanaging resources and corruption. That's our own disaster, which is self-inflicted. It's not a natural disaster where in some place of the world the earth will just shift. People will cave in. You understand? So sometimes you have tremors, you have earthquakes, outright earthquakes, you have storm, sometimes flooding that overrun cities. Okay? So when you talk about a country like Netherlands, for example, was built, an island built for emergency. The way the country is constructed, you see, even the way they farm, they grow soilless crops, and they feed almost the whole of Europe in that small space. Okay, so those kind of cities, if you look at the drainages, the central sewage and the central, everything is central. Okay, everything is central. There's an emergency. There's an exit from the country. In the event of an emergency, everybody will leave the country and everybody will be safe. They all have all that. In Ireland, Dublin to be specific, you see how it is built to the created rivers, okay, so that when it rains, the flood is drained away and the city is left on a high scale. So you will have a lot of, but in the Nigerian case, Africa, we are in the temperate region, okay. We are in the tropics. We're in the tropics, okay. In tropics region where the weather is favorable, it's practically hot. When it rains, it's not disastrous. It's not stormy, okay. Unlike in places where you have to check the weather before you go out. They make announcement that there's going to be a tornado. I remember then I was in Atlanta. It was announced over the radio that people should be indoors between the hours of 7 and 8. There was going to be a tornado. And as at that time it struck, took many houses off the way, and a lot of people were injured. So we're not in places, we're not in that kind of region. So to say that we're ready for the emergency, and I don't think we're ready. I don't think, where is it in Lagos, in Abuja, or where? Exactly. We're just fortunate that we don't have that, we're not predisposed to the hazards of the earth in terms of natural disaster. If we were, maybe we'll be thinking better, maybe we would have done better.
All right, from there, let's maybe move on to the Guardian newspaper. Yes, we have the big story. APC consolidates power as Amba ends PDP's 26-year reign in Enugu.
Okay, on the top strip we have PDP postpones INEC meeting, or NEC,
that's NEC meeting, yeah.
Indefinitely.
And also we have IMF Cardoso isolate Nigeria from global uncertainty, raise growth prospect.
We also have FG approves new admission reforms, raises tertiary intake for 1 million yearly.
And also states businesses embrace $3 billion solar fund as national grid wobbles.
We also have how ASU's actions allegedly sabotaged FG's truth efforts.
So, brothers, let's get to APC yet again. Consolidates power as Amba ends the PDP's 26-year reign in Enugu. What's a landmine, if you ask me, that lots of governors are stepping on right now. Couple of hours back, I watched a viral video of Bola asking his commissioners to ensure that whenever they come for sittings, they must wear their Sowaju hats. State capture it is, but what's your take?
No, that one, Bola is an illiterate governor who, when you vote such kind of governor, what do you expect really? Are you expecting to see a very intellectual, sanitized, and progressive cabinet? I mean, what does he have to offer? That is psychophancy. Instead of him to talk about how they can improve on insecurity in the state, how they can tackle insecurity in the state. Those state is very insecure, as we speak. Kidnapping is at its high. The state is battling with erosion, battling with flood.
Cultism.
Cultism. That is its lowest ebb. Kidnapping through the Aduawa Auchi road is like, because the road is bad. Okay, so it's an every commerce affair. Anybody can kidnap anybody at any time. You would think that a serious governor will be thinking about how to nip that in the bud, get his people safe from insecurity, and then build infrastructure. You would think so, but look at what he's doing. Okay, is this to elevate the president or to make him feel good, or what exactly? That I should wear such cap before you get into. I mean, they are his employees anyway, because commissioners are employed by the appointed by the governor, so he can do to them whatever he wishes. But I know that many of them, the ones that have clear heads, will not like what exactly is going on. Then as to this
Peter Amba.
Yes, Peter Amba leaving the PDP. You see, the question I'm asking ourselves, I mean, PDP is postponing a meeting.
Yes, indefinitely.
So now what is left in PDP?
So it's good enough for them to leave?
No, what I'm saying, what is left there? They are supposed to be convening meetings to have, to discuss the affairs of the party and to see how they can put an end to this endless cross carpet, endless decamp. Because to be fair and true to you, the Constitution did not place any penalty on a governor if you decide to move from one political party to another. It only placed a penalty on the legislature, and that is being violated even on daily basis.
Randomly.
Let alone the one that the Constitution didn't say anything at all. The one you must establish for the legislature that there's conflict in your party, and the conflict has become so bad that the party cannot hold itself. Then you can decamp to another political party. Otherwise, any political party that sponsors you to win election, that's where you should be. If you move, your seat is vacant. That's what the law says. But that has been, especially with the Rivers State case, the judiciary, the legislature and the executive what do you call it? Fubara, and his and the State House of Assembly. With that case, and war that lingered and all that. So the PDP have really put itself out there in a very bad light. So
do we see an imminent death of the PDP?
It appears like if there's going to be a resuscitation, it's going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard because they are losing weight by the day. You understand? Politics is a game of number. Not only is it that they don't have resources, they don't have manpower, and they are not at the center. So a party, newly formed parties are even stronger now than the PDP. You understand? If Adibin Labour is really doing well, if Adibin they are working together, by now they should have been stronger than the PDP. Even the ADC that's coming to play and the rest of that. So this is the time for the APC leadership. What is left of the APC? Jerry Ghana and the rest of them. What exactly are they doing to stop?
But they George.
Yes, what exactly are they doing? You know, because their governors are sabotaging the party. Self-sabotage. The person who had held the party together all this while, that used Yes on Wiki, is the one who even opened the floodgate for this double standard. Because today, you can't tell whether it's an APC or PDP. Unlike before, when he led the party, brought in Secondus and the rest of that, the PDP had, they were able to put up resistance and opposition. You understand? They retain their play, retain Rivers, retain Enugu, retain, what do you call it?
Retained
even Imo at some point.
Akwa Ibom,
Yes. Bayelsa, Delta, and the rest of that. But today, Delta is gone. Akwa Ibom is gone. Enugu is now gone. In fact, there's even the governor of Enugu is also saying it will be a sin not to join APC. You understand? So at the end of the day, what you see is this deflection of the PDP promoting the APC, and that's giving Tinubu a free way to get the next election. And they are doing this because they are not part of the ordinary man on the street who is feeling the pain of the economy and everything. They are using the resources of the state to promote the president to retain power at the detriment of the citizens. Because anything that makes Tinubu win the next election, what they are doing now will be child's play. With the level of hardship that will descend on people, with the way we go about taking loan, you know, making things very tough and difficult for the people, and governors are using the state resources to promote that conduct. The governors have left their people stranded, and they don't care because they are not on the street. The moment they saw that money, Tinubu himself is not even going around and like putting up, even if it's just to talk to the governor as to how are they able to manage these resources and how is it faring, how are the people faring. Nothing like that. And any money you give to governors can never get to the people. He has the do to go and build airport and bridges. Those airports, the poor don't use it. Yeah. Bridges, apart from Lagos, there's no other state in Nigeria that is populated enough for you to be building bridges. Apart from Lagos. All the bridges are building in Warri and all, and that's a waste of time. The cars in Warri, everything put together is not up to the number of cars in Ojodubega. So where's the traffic that you're building this thing for? There's an airport now built in Ogun State.
Yeah.
We have an airport in Lagos here.
Lagos.
Yes.
There's another one that built at Lekki. So what is it for all this? So, and the Ogun State people don't have roads. There are no access roads from their homes to express, from express to work. And you are building an airport. So you see why I say that? First, the governors are cut off from the people, and they are now joined heirs with the president.
Who is equally not concerned, actually.
Who is not? His own is even nothing. It doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him. So that is the dilemma. If only we have governors who are conscious of the plight of the people and who are conscious of the damage this government brought to the people, then you will be able to manage the outcome. The governor should be able to manage the outcome. And we need opposition to sustain that. That's what Peter Obi is saying. That you cannot be driving cars convoy of jeeps and all that, buying cars for lawmakers, you know, paying all sorts, living extravagantly in a country where you now have, there's a new report now from the NBS. Are you aware about it? We are now 139 million people now live in multidimensional poverty, as against 133 that was announced a year ago, a year and ago. So now 139 now are living in multidimensional poverty. Multidimensional poverty means that not just that they are living less than $1, they are even living below $0. That's what it means. They're not in multidimensional poverty. And when you look at the Nigerian population, there's an estimation that we have that were 200 million. Some people say 200.3 million now. Okay. Now, if you look at 139 million, you now discover that more than half of the population. You understand? That's about 139 million will be about 70% of thereabouts of the population, or 65 something percent of the population are living in multidimensional poverty. So if you have that kind of misery index, okay, it should not, the emergency at hand does not call for governors to be defecting. It calls for them to use state resources, now that they have more of it, to go to the grassroots, address poverty, address agriculture, address industrialization, address education. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But no, what they are doing, they are building airports, they are building bridges, and whatever is left, they use to decamp. And when they decamp, they will mandate all their commissioners, all the councillors, to move with them to the new political party. This political party are moving with the political party that have no plan, have no structure, have not performed, apart from the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. What other project is on ground that this government is doing other than propaganda? What other project is on ground that we can see visibly? During Jonathan regime, you can point projects moving parallel. This one is going on, this one, that one is going on. They are all going on together. This one, what is going on? So, it's a sad situation we're in.
Very sad situation, and I feel we all have our work to do. Even the citizens are really trying, because we've been able to absorb and take so many things, and that's why I was just telling Henry that it all depends on we as a citizen to determine who will be the next president, because if they are going to be using this as a strategy, then we as citizens, we should also have our own, we should also think strategically to vote for who will be or who will sit on that presidential seat, right?
Very well. Of course, that was equally collaborated by Makinde, who, when asked about the defection, he said that everything is left on the hands of Nigerians to determine who would take the seat of power. So I would love that we leave it for now. We have other stories, but for the want of time, we'll have to leave it for now and say we would be right back in Egypt. Barrister will be here to take us on our main conversation. That's when we return. Federal government introduces flexible entry policy to expand access to higher education. That in the Beauty Still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Thank you so very much for joining us. This is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. The federal government has approved a major reform of admission requirements for all tertiary institutions to make access to higher education more inclusive and flexible. The new policy, championed by the Education Minister, Dr. Tunji Alausa, aligns with the President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and aims to remove long-standing barriers that have prevented many qualified candidates from gaining admission.
Very true. Dr. Alausa said the reform became necessary to correct outdated entry rules that excluded many capable students. With over 2 million candidates taking UTME yearly and only about 700,000 admitted, the new guidelines update requirements across universities, polytechnics, colleges of education and Innovation Enterprise Academies, IEAs, while maintaining academic standards.
And also under the new rules, mathematics is no longer compulsory for arts candidates, but remains required for science, technology and social science courses.
The government also replaced the National Innovation Diploma, that's NID, with the National Diploma, that's ND, for uniformity, and directed the NBTE to re-accredit all IEAs. The reform is expected to create room for an additional 250,000 to 300,000 students annually.
Wow. Very big expose there.
Yes.
But let's get talking. We still have Barrister Francis Feli. Barrister, speak to us on this. I truly do not know what Dr. Tunji Alausa is always thinking about. You know, the reason why every student is required to pass through mathematics and English is there's a reason for it. Now, for mathematics to be exempted because you are studying art, does it really make any sense here?
No, it didn't say. They say it's still a requirement. What I mean is, it's no longer an entry requirement for those studying art at the university. Not like it's not mandatory.
But it is no longer, which means
an entry requirement.
So which means you can as well not have it and you can gain admission.
Yeah, you can get admission without it, but maths and English is still compulsory.
I don't understand. Let's go for someone who has a WAEC, who comes up with this WAEC now.
Yes.
So does it mean the person necessarily does not need to have mathematics there and can gain admission?
Yes, for art courses. Courses in the arts will mean courses like English literature.
Yeah.
Be like maybe those who want to study law,
Yes.
philosophy, yes, core arts, theater arts, humanities. Yeah, that the art, the core art. That's what I say. Before now, every school will tell you that maths and English is compulsory to start with. Whether you are going for pure art courses, whether you are going for science, whether you are going for anything, maths is compulsory. And if you don't have it, you will not get admission.
But don't you think maths is important?
It's important because mathematics elevates reasoning.
Exactly.
You see, it's just that some persons will, most times, you go through schools that do not have the right kind of maths teacher. Otherwise, what mathematics can do to the brain of a child, it can elevate a child to reason like an adult.
Yeah.
To reason clearly, logically, and even communicate effectively. You understand? It had the capacity to expand, you know, your horizon, and so it's critical. So the proponents of that compulsory mathematics knew exactly what they were doing when they said maths and English is compulsory. Sometimes there are schools, extramural classes where they offer only maths and English, because if you get your maths and English right, every other subject seems to be queuing around them. And if you look at even the world of engineering, invention, science, and all that, mathematics is the foundation. Even this thing we're talking about, building, you know, all inventions, mathematics is the foundation. And if you look at those who propounded theories, the like of what do you call it, algebra, you know, these are people, algebra, it's Arabic, from the Middle East, you know, Pythagoreans, you know, and the rest of that, calculus, these are human beings, okay? And
because even Leonardo da Vinci,
yes,
a great sculptor and fine artist,
yes,
equally understands mathematics. He's a mathematician.
Yes, mathematician. The Master of Roles in law, Lord Denning, the best judge that ever existed in this world, was a mathematician. He was a mathematician before he went to study law and became a judge in England. And when you read his judgment, you will see the element of mathematics logic running around his thought. You understand? So is a critical subject that should have endured. But you know, our politicians are lazy people. They are not people who sit down to think through policies. You see, in the days of yore, before you come up with policy, they will act just like when Nebuchadnezzar was to change the pattern of governance. He sent the people to go and get the Hebrew boys. He was clear. He said, those who are good in mathematics, literature, politics, and policy, bring them to me. That was how they brought Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were the one who sat down. In the days of yore, if you want to come up with policy, you bring philosophers, you hand over you just speak, just tell them what you want. This is what I'm looking at. They will take it in and go and refine it. They will give you the blueprint, the workability, and the outcome, and what society would look like if we implement all this. But what we have today in governance are these people are not that, because now those who are running away from mass, they have been they've been giving them a stamp. The government are giving them. I know that you don't necessarily need it for pure art courses. I know you don't need it.
But someone who is doing economics, you don't escape maths.
Yes.
No, economics is not pure art.
It's not pure
It's
art.
social sciences.
Yeah.
You need maths there. Business administration, you need maths. You must have maths for those ones.
Okay.
If you are going for theater arts, you are going for law, you are going for mass communication and the rest of that, you may not necessarily need it. But that is not to divorce it from foundation.
Exactly.
It's what they call foundation. I mean, when we started school then, at the lowest level, the first thing they teach you is the alphabet and the numericals. Yes, because that's the foundation. That's where you start from to develop your mind. You understand? Then before they start to introduce you to other steps of it, then they introduce you to arithmetic. Arithmetic is the basics of it. That's when you begin to understand what multiplication is, subtraction, and all that. They begin to teach you all those ones. Then by the time you leave primary school, you get into GSS1, you start to look at things like factorization. You start to look at things like simplification. You look at things like set. When you by the time you pull through there, you cross to the higher institution. Now they now tell you that you need to get 4-figure table. You get a 4-figure table. They begin to introduce you to tougher part of it, part of the mathematics. Then you begin to meet so many things like inverse and some other indices and the rest of that. Before you get through the SS classes, you have seen that they've introduced you a lot of things, sect and the rest of that. And these things are, you can apply them on a daily basis. But one thing about academics is that the more you immerse yourself in it, the more you come out purified. You may not even know. You may not know. Yes, it just deepens your intellection. Okay, it makes you to communicate clearly and effectively. It makes you to think about things on your feet. Your ability to think fast is activated. Okay, so in as much as I think it may not be necessary for those going for art, but I think it should be compulsory. It should remain compulsory at the tertiary institution level. Let them offer that course. Let it be that they failed it. They will, because WAEC will not even register you if you don't put English and Maths. Exactly. You know that one. So this one the federal government is saying is for entrance. It didn't say WAEC should now allow anybody, if you like, don't even put it at all. You will offer it. You will offer it. Okay. But it is no longer.
You offer and pass it. Or you go for it and might not pass.
You might just do your best.
Just do your righteousness.
Just do your best. But they're not saying is no longer a determinant for those studying pure art. So not like WAEC is going to take it down.
Because I know what will be going through the minds of these Gen Zs now. With this proclamation now, what will happen in my thought is this. Most of them who used to maybe give a little attention to mathematics might not want to give the attention any longer. And lots of people who might who would have had the choice of doing sciences will now say, okay, because maths is hard, lots of people will now begin to navigate towards the arts, which is not good for our society.
It's not. There are people who are still talented in the mathematics. And by the way, Gen Z are no longer in secondary school. The people in secondary school now, they are alpha generation, which is a more stable generation in terms of thought and intellection. The Gen Zs were actually carried away by the new world, and now they are old. The alpha generation, those are the ones in secondary school now. They are between the ages of 9 to 14, and so there are some also that see they are still talented in mathematics. What I think the federal government should have done alongside this policy is to train more teachers in mathematics.
Exactly. Yes.
We need more hands in mathematics. You see, you can be lucky you are in a school where you have a very good maths teacher, because our teacher influence our choices no matter what you think. You understand? Our teachers influence our choices. I remember that it was my teacher that influenced my choice of literature. It was my teacher because he was so good at it. He taught it as if his whole life depended on it. And the subject is contagious. Once you pick interest, you are consumed. So some mathematics teacher, they can do mathematics in a way that will be so interesting. Some of them, when they teach it, people will be dozing off and be sleeping in the class. Some will come and tell you that it is the best thing that happened to humanity, mathematics. And when they paint the picture for you, and they will make it interesting, and once the interest is, you understand. So I have a niece that studied mathematics. I know how deep she communicates because of that subject. So it's important. All philosophers, from Thales to Aristotle to Socrates to Ernest Fernandez to Academus, they were all mathematicians to start with. You understand? Because numbers don't lie. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Mathematics is like the Bible. If somebody died, the Bible says the person died. If he's sick, you say he's sick. If he's honest, mathematics is honest. You understand? 1 + 1 will remain 2. There is no trick. That is universal truth. You understand? And so these influences, we are supposed to train more teachers in mathematics, maybe, and then give them incentives. Give them incentives so that this subject doesn't die off like that. Improve on it. You understand? There are subjects that when they are dropped as compulsory, it may not even make headline. You understand? But there are subjects that you drop and say, what did they say? What the government saying? Drop this? No. People will start to discuss it. People will start to talk about it. Like when they drop history, it was as a result of public outcry that they brought back history. And when they dropped history, I was wondering, because I used to be a very good history student, and I was wondering, why would you drop history? History is like, so you want to give birth to children that don't know where they're coming from, don't know where Nigeria has been before, and so many, especially the current Gen Zs, it was at their time, at their prime, that they took up that subject. That's why many of them cannot talk about Nigeria. Many of them cannot. Our own generation, it was almost, they will tell you that you must pick one between government and history. It's a must. You must pick one. If you pick government, you're still going to touch on history. If you pick history, you touch on government. So they made it compulsory. I offered both. You understand? I needed to know what has happened before now and where we're going to, so I could make informed decisions. So this is a policy. Okay, let's see how it goes. But for me, I think the National Assembly should summon the Minister for Education to come and throw more light why should this be? Because if it's a National Assembly that is sensitive and very conscious of what is going on in our schools, that call will be made. But I don't think this our National Assembly is the National Assembly that have that divide, that push. I mean, it's a National Assembly where many of them are not even attentive. Yesterday, Natasha moved a motion, additional motion on the issue of Nigerian ladies who were trafficked to Libya. And when they escaped, they were all caught and they found themselves in a Libya prison. And they are now being used as sex slaves for warders and prisoners. And she was asking that that motion be included into the federal government should look into the issue and the rest of that.
And of course, because of that move, and we have it, and it's on the Guardian newspaper, Senate seeks repatriation of Nigerian women and children held in Libyan prisons. So you can see as a result of what she has
yes, that's leadership. Yes. Somebody brought her attention to it on Facebook. It was someone that wrote about it and mentioned her on Facebook. And then she prepared the brief. But why she was putting that forth yesterday, what I'm trying to get at is that half of the members of the House were not attentive. It was even made an additional, it was not listed for the day. She only appealed to the House to have an additional, and when she did, Akpabio, the Senate President, was not asking for a seconder, somebody that will second the motion. Then Opeyemi Bamidele, representing I think Lagos, Lagos, one side of Lagos constituency, now stood up and seconded it. And as he was doing that, Akpabio now said, please restate the details of that motion so that everybody can understand. The man could not restate it because he wasn't attentive. He just wanted to second it. Many of them were not attentive. On a very serious issue, it was an indictment on them. And I was so disappointed that this is not how Parliament should work. Parliament should have details of what is going on. Okay, now the federal government is going to do a formal letter to Libya to ask that they be repatriated. And we will be, definitely we have ties. If we demand that our citizens be brought back to us, they will bring them back.
Definitely.
Okay, so back to the discussion, because I think, okay, let me go to the secondary school now, or primary school. They don't even call mathematics. They've changed it to numeracy. Mathematics is numeracy, English is literacy. And I was asking myself that if we grew up with the name mathematics and literacy, I even had to, because my sister, she's a teacher, and I asked her that why is it so? Then she said it is mathematics. They had to change the I don't know, maybe the structure, their syllabus or whatsoever, to numeracy, because these children, they are really growing, and they said, according to what she said, they don't want to really bombard them with too much work. I don't know how she, like the way she put it, even for the literacy too. So back to my question here. Now, removing mathematics, right, for art students, producing more specialized and confident graduates in the humanities. Now, do you think when we remove mathematics for this student, that's for art students, will it produce more specialized and confident graduates in humanities?
Well, this thing you talk about, confident graduate and the rest of that, is purely based on the exposure, the academic, social exposure of a child that determines how confident the child is.
Yes.
It's not just academics. Academics, social behavior, social standard, exposure. Yeah. Okay, information and all that. Okay. And if you notice, people who know very well, who know so much, tends to be confident. If you know so much, sometimes even children and students are caught up with overconfidence. Yeah. Okay, so it's a condition of exposure. Yes, being confident is exposure could mean academic exposure, it could mean social exposure, it could mean exposure in its totality. So I am not sure whether removing maths will deflate on intelligence or improve on intelligence for graduates. You understand? Because it's not just maths. Maths is just one part, one minute part of the total workload that a student had to cover before he can pass one level to the next level. Okay, so when you put everything together, the absence of maths may not necessarily impede a child's confidence, but mathematics is critical. It's critical for the work it does to the brain, but what it does to the human spirit. Okay, yes, it makes you calculative. You understand? So even when you want to spend money as a student, you begin to you apply mathematics to see how you can sustain yourself. So mathematics is self-sustaining. It's far-reaching. It's not a subject that should be taken off just like that. I really do not agree that you just plug it down just because I did art in school, I did mathematics, I wrote mathematics in my work, I did everything. As much as I was not a very vast student of mathematics, but I followed up to the point, to the best of my ability. And that is how it should be. Because taking it off now will mean that people who are looking for the easy route are just looking for anything where there will be no impediment. They will just want to, they will now find comfort. You understand? Not to try at all. There are people who didn't like maths when they were in primary school. When they got to secondary school, they picked up. They now understand it. Because no matter what it is, there's nothing a human being cannot understand if you give it time. Whatever if you see that mathematics that you say you didn't know when you were in secondary school, if you give it 2 hours every day for 5 years,
you be professional.
Yes, you will teach it like something is, you will know it, because the brain is adaptive to anything that you give your time to, anything you devote time to. You will master it so well. That's what it is.
Okay.
All right. So just before we wind up for today, Barrister, my last question to you is this: as much as we appreciate the arts and humanities and all, there's this maxim in advertising: follow the consumer. Right now, the world consumption is tilted towards artificial intelligence. In China, for example, they give grants, unlimited grants, to kids who want to study science and technology, maths and
STEM.
all that, STEM and all. In the United States now, they are deficit of that. India, China has taken over IT and all, and they are lacking behind very, very well. So do you think that at this point, as much as we appreciate arts, we should focus 80% of our time in building a technologically science, a STEM-driven system and society? Or we should just allow things be the way it should be? People who want to do art, people who want to do science, no policy, everyone just do as you will.
That's why I'm surprised at this policy. Because where the world is now, it is STEM, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. That is where the world is going. That is because those areas are the areas that are responsible for the production of, the things we use today in our world. Okay, so at a time like this, you are not making that mathematics that is supposed to be very that the world need now more than even before. You are not making it look like it can be optional. Like for the arts, it's enjoyment. For the arts, poetry cannot put food on the table, especially in Nigeria. In America, you can gather people, do poetry and give you money, recite incantations and just give you money. But in Nigeria, you recite anything you recite, you go back to, you understand, even in so many other countries. So it's surprising because countries are spending billions of dollars promoting mathematics, science, engineering, and maths and the rest of that. Then we are now saying that, you know what, that maths, if you like, do if you like, your art. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think, as much as they don't need it for entrance level, it's compulsory. It must remain compulsory because it's a foundation, and that foundation, we shouldn't lose it to. And the fact that there's no conscious policy on education generally, It's only when they just pick one thing and throw. The other time they say 16 years. They are 16 years. Don't go and don't write exam. Jam say those who are underage. When they were buying the phone, filling it and putting it, they were not underage. Now you are not saying their results must be 300 plus because they are under. So to show that they are extraordinary students. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? There should be no discrimination. So the fact that there's no comprehensive educational policy is the reason why the National Assembly should summon this man. It's not education is not cherry picking. Just go anytime you like, you pull one thing. Anytime you like, you pull one thing there. Give us a blueprint of how you intend to transform our educational system in Nigeria. Don't be picking. Don't be saying maths is now out. This one is now jam, WAEC, NECO. Give us, write a policy document for us stating how you intend to transform the educational system and reposition it, you know, because this term issues the part of the UN policy on sustainable development goal. Okay, how do you intend to transform? That is the question we should be asking the Minister for Education, and not this thing they are doing.
All right, of course, we have to give it up to brands that have promoted maths. You remember Cowbell Mathematics competition? You know, when I watch those young stars, you know, just before the person asking the question would finish asking the question, they have the answers.
There is nothing those children cannot achieve.
So imagine the level of thoughts of those young stars between 14, 15, 16, and they're doing awesomely well. And here we have a doctor and nephrologist who should know better, and not allowing this work is actually very disturbing. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for being here.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate you. All right, that's just about the time we have. We'd love to say thank you for making this a day. Please do well to follow us. You can read up on everything we've talked about today when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally re-watch when you visit us at Enterprise TV 7. I am Henry.
And I am Kende.
Have yourself a blessed day. God bless Nigeria. God bless you. And stay tuned for other entertaining and informative program coming on Enterprise Television. Bye-bye from us.